Welcome once again to Maximum Life with yours truly, Michael Norman. Now, if you've read the title, you're probably thinking, is this one of those get rich quick? Oh, hold on. I've got some interference. There it is. Okay. Had some interference in the background there. But if you've ever heard the saying, this must be some sort of get rich quick scheme. And that always generally has a negative connotation that nobody can get rich quick. But at the same time, the reason they're so successful at deceiving and maybe bringing people into deception is because most people do want to get rich as quickly as possible. Nobody wants to get rich slowly as possible. No one wants to take their time and get there. If there's a path that gets them there faster, then most people want to know about that. And so today I want to talk to you in this video about things that are going to help you progress faster, things that are going to help you to recognize and realize your level of prosperity and success, certainly faster than not wanting it. Absolutely. Of course, I don't have an overnight success. I'm not saying you're going to be rich by tomorrow morning, but there are some principles that will empower you to get to a place of prosperity much faster than just simply hoping and praying everything is just going to work out magically. And, as they say, if God wants me to have it, he'll give it to me. Well, then there are specific rules that even God follows to manifestation. And that's what we want to talk about today in a very real sort of way, because, again, we're in some very unusual circumstances, some unprecedented times in our country. And it actually impresses upon us even more so that we need to be a lot more self-reliant, that we need to put ourselves in a position where we're not dependent upon any particular outside institution to be responsible for our level of prosperity and growth. Not against jobs, not against having a job, but remember, a job is actually designed. If you think of it in the grand scheme of things, your job is to provide resources, not just to pay your bills. And if we can start with that principle right there. If you have a negative connotation concerning money and what it's for, then it's going to affect the level and the speed in which you begin to acquire more of it. So if you have a negative connotation concerning money as though it's only for the purpose of paying your bills, then you'll always be in a position where you're just making enough to pay your bills. I made a video some time back, three words that will impact your life forever, for the rest of your life. And that is your perception. Your perception affects your projection, which affects your reception. So it's projection. Let me get it right. Perception, projection, and reception. Your perception, how you perceive money, is going to affect how you project. And then, of course, that impacts how you receive. So if you have a negative attitude towards money and people that have it, and particularly people that have a lot of it, well, then you will never be one of them, because money is a spirit first. And I know this sounds maybe super psychedelic or religious, but that's not the intent. The intent is for you to understand that all things are first immaterial before they become physical. Everything in life is spiritual. It's invisible. Everything that you are encountering in this physical realm started in the invisible realm. So you must understand that you don't have to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth to become prosperous, to live a life of abundance. As a matter of fact, there are those who do it on the daily. Every day there are millionaires being made, and you can be one of them. But again, if you have a negative disposition towards money and towards those who have it, then you will never be one of them, because you will be you'll be averse to that sort of environment. You'll believe that everybody that has wealth, that has increase, looks like I'm forgetting to turn everything off here this morning. Those that have wealth and increase, you will think that they got it by nefarious means and methods, and that's not necessarily so. When you think about people like Microsoft founder Bill Gates, I mean, nothing nefarious about that. When you think about the father of streaming is actually Mark Cuban. Most people don't label him as such because he doesn't promote it as such. But he's literally one of the first to ever stream a live game because he's a huge basketball fan, and ultimately went on to owning his own basketball team. You see how the matrix of God works, that if you believe it strong enough and long enough, eventually you'll begin to occupy that space. And Mark Cuban is a great example because, again, while he's in college, he wants to watch basketball games that are not broadcasted locally. So he invented a method where he could see and watch games over the internet without having to travel to that city to watch it. And there you have it. The father of streaming television went on to sell that company for a few $billions, use that revenue to purchase the Dallas Mavericks. And next thing you know, he's the owner of the Dallas Maverick and revolutionized that franchise in a very significant way. And now he's moved on to bigger and better things. What I'm saying to you is that you're no different from him. The only thing that separates the successful from the ones who don't become successful is, by and large, most of the time, it's just the fact that the ones who become successful, they just never give up. They have a will not quit attitude. They have a disposition that I am not going to quit. I'm not losing. If I get knocked down, guess what? I'm getting back up again. I just happened to watch a fight, a heavyweight fight featuring the Real Deal Holyfield. Real Deal Holyfield. Most of you know who he is. And as they were interviewing him after one of his, looked like all his fights were just battle royals. I mean, I would not have wanted to be on the other side of the receiving end of a Holyfield fight. That's just not, that's not something I ever would have imagined. But what you've got to admire about him is something that his mother instilled in. This is what he says. His mother instilled in him the mindset that you will become the world heavyweight champion if you do not quit. If you don't quit, if you do the work, you do the hard work, and you do not quit, you will be successful. And guess what? Not only was he heavyweight champ once, not only was he heavyweight champ twice, but 3 times and nearly 4. I think it was 3, nearly 4 times he became the world heavyweight champion. So the point I'm making is, if you're going to get rich, you've got to get rich knowing that it's going to take tenacity. It's going to take persistence. It's going to take the unwillingness to give up. I cannot. And then, of course, you have to make plans, because if you don't plan your work, then you plan to fail. You know, most people don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. And so if you don't have a direct concept of where you're going, an idea of how you want to get there, then number one, you won't know how to get there, and you won't know when you get there. And the worst of it all is that every place looks like it could be the right place. Every opportunity looks like it could be the right opportunity. But then guess what? The opposite is absolutely the same. That every place looks like it could not be. Why? What determines whether it is an opportunity for you or not? Your vision, your clear goal, your clear desire to become whatever it is you desire. In the case of Evander Holyfield, he said, I am going to be a world champion, heavyweight champion, boxing champion of the world. And he did it. And he did it with one primary rule in place. Number one, do not quit. Don't back out. Don't back down. Just continue to move forward. Do the work. You got to put in the time. You got to plan. You got to plan. You got to work. Plan your work and work your plan. So his idea is, he wasn't a very big fighter. He fought people who were much bigger than he was. But it's kind of like the David and Goliath situation. he just would not quit. And he's probably out trained. And I wish I could do an interview. Maybe we could set up an interview with Holyfield at some point and find out what drove him. What drove him to continue to on that quest to become the heavyweight champion of the world, which he ultimately did. But he had some battle royals. So again, if you're going to get rich quick, you're going to have to resolve in your mind that I will not quit. And then you have to go on to strategize your plan, that roadmap that will lead you to success. And don't depend on happenstance. But here's what Earl Nightingale, Neville Goddard, and the likes, they all agreed that if you make a decision and you commit to that decision to follow a particular path for your life, somehow God supernaturally, he builds a bridge from where you are to where you want to be. How does he do that? Well, he does it by various methods, one of which is he will cause you to have what I call supernatural happenstance, divine happenstance. I just happen to be in the right place at the right time to meet the right person that can help me get to my destination. I believe in that with all my heart, that if you get serious and focused about where you want to go in life, don't waste a lot of time doing unnecessary things that doesn't lead you to your goals. You know, again, if you allow me, let me use another model. The late, great Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was a supernatural, well, maybe even supernatural, but one of the best and greatest basketball players, certainly in the history of NBA. He, along with Michael Jordan and a few other greats, he has to be mentioned in the pantheon of great basketball players. But one of the things about Kobe, oh my goodness, he just would not quit. He was relentless. He had they call it the Mamba mentality. Now, the Mamba mentality, named after the Black Mamba. The Mamba mentality was of the sort that I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to quit. Nobody's going to be better than me. And subsequently, he decides, you know, I'm going to be like Mike, like the old commercial. I'm going to be like Mike. And as such, he studied him, every one of his moves, everything he done. And by the time they finally met in the NBA, he was fully prepared for the encounter. And as such, he adopted his practice habit. The one thing that made, again, Michael Jordan, an eternal name that will live forever. As long as there's NBA, there will be Michael Jordan. Why is that? Because Michael Jordan did everything he had to do to become what he is today. And the same thing was true for Kobe Bryant. When other players would just go out and after a game, go out and to the clubs and celebrate, dance, drink, and do whatever they do, Kobe Bryant said, I'm going back to the gym and work on my game. Now, again, yeah, that cost him something because possible friendships, maybe some turmoil, maybe even in his relationships in his marriage, and because you know he had a clear set of goals and principles that required, while everybody else is out partying, everybody else is going to cantatas and recitals and social events, things of that nature, I've got to go to the gym and work out. I got to miss all of that. There's a cost. And the same is true for us. If we're going to prosper, if we're going to grow and expand, there's a cost associated with it. We've got to recognize that it's going to cost us something. So you can't have, in the old saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You're going to have to decide whether you're going to eat it or you're going to just have it to look at. But you can't have both. And so this is the sort of thing, again, if you're going to get rich quick, you got to adopt some of these same mentalities. This Mamba mentality, you're going to have to develop that where it concerns your business. Whether you are an athlete, whether you are an instructor, whether you are an architect, or lawyer, or doctor, you got to commit to the craft. Learn everything you can about it. When it comes to being rich, monetary inerrment, being rich or enriched, learn everything you can about money. Because if you're a stranger to money, you won't know when money opportunity shows up. Most people think that God's going to just supernaturally cause money to show up in their bank accounts. And trust me, I've been one of those. Like, come on, if you can do that, Lord, please do that for me. You know, but I found out the way that God answers prayers is with information. That's the way he answers prayers. More now, again, I believe in miracles. Okay, I believe that supernatural things can happen. They do happen all the time. But I'm saying in just when it comes to your life's journey, it's not our responsibility to believe him for miracles, because we're not supposed to live by miracles. We're supposed to live by the vision and the purpose. So whatever our purpose, whatever our vision, whatever our goal, that's where we're going. And that's what we live by. I can't afford. Now, I could do a whole lot of other things. And trust me when I tell you, I'm a very curious soul. I'm curious about everything. I could be busy doing something over here, and all of a sudden, oh, that's interesting. And I'm over there. And then something else. Oh, and then something else. And next thing you know, I'm a jock of all trades, but a master of none. So there's something to be said for becoming single-minded. Okay, nothing wrong with having various streams of income, but remember, you can't think that you're going to raise each of those streams up all at the same time to the highest level. The best way to go about it is to raise one up to the point of mastery, where they say, you spend 10,000 hours in it, you're a professional. Okay, so once you become proficient in that, then that's the service. Here's the other part. That's the service that you can offer that is of high value to potential clients. What talent, what gift do you have? Instead of looking for people to bring you money in business, look for what you can bring to people. This is one of the things I've had to learn in sales. And stop trying to find people you can sell things to, and start finding people that you can help meet their needs. See, if you're selling and you're in business to make money to pay your bills, then you're in it for yourself. But when you're in business to help meet a need of someone else, they will pay you. You will help them reach their goals and meet their needs, and they will pay you for that high value that you bring to them, which indirectly and ultimately will bring prosperity to you. So the way you get rich is finding as many people as you possibly can to help. Find out what their greatest problems are, what's their greatest challenge, and come up with the solution that is of high value to them. Okay? And make sure that they're willing to pay what that value is. That means go find as many rich, well-off people with problems, and then offer the solution. Offer the solution to the problem, and they'll pay you whatever you're asking. I've done workshop and webinars myself for high dollar entries, because again, what I offered was of great value to the people in the audience. And so they were willing to pay it. I even paid myself. I've gone to webinars that cost me hundreds of dollars, even a couple of $1,000, because I valued what I was going to learn. And if I have to spend $2,000 in order to get $500,000, or let's bring it down, let's make it more conservative. Spend $2,000 so that I can gain $10,000, even that's a $8,000 gain. That's $8,000. It cost me $2,000 to get the $8,000. And that's being conservative, because if you have a product that costs $2,000, you're going to get way more than $10,000. The question is, what do you have that you can offer? Now you got to start looking at yourself. You have to start looking introspectively and saying, hey, listen, what can I do that can help solve someone with money problem? And maybe it's someone with money problems. If they're trying to find a way to become more profitable, their business is maybe operating at a marginal pace or a marginal level, only breaking even, and you have a concept that's going to help them scale their business, maybe grow it to 4, 5, 10 times its current value, it's worth whatever they got to pay. It's worth it. The issue is you have to be confident in your skill set. You have to be confident enough to tell people, I can answer the problems that you have. I am your resource. I am the one who can help you cure your issues that you're having. I'm meeting with an individual. He's a business owner, an entrepreneur, and he wants to scale his business. He wants to grow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to meet and find out what is the greatest pain point that his business is experiencing. Once I identify that, then I'm about the business of curating and putting together a strategy that will help make that problem go away and help them grow. Ultimately, every business wants to grow. So again, these are principles you have to follow. You have to be willing to do it, because again, it's not going to happen by osmosis. You're going to have to be willing to do the work. And I've discovered to be successful in this life, it takes work. Anybody who is successful in this life, who's become rich, I might not even like the person, but the one thing I can respect about them is I know that it took work, and they had to be committed. They had to be focused, and they had to know exactly where they were going to get where they are now. I might not even like them as an individual, but I have to respect what they did. Of course, provided they didn't, they weren't born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Of course, that's easy. All right. Here's some other things I wrote down. Prosperity or prospering is not just about you getting more, but the effects of you getting more. Meaning that when you prosper, it causes people in your sphere of influence to prosper as well. Not because you're paying their bills for them, but because you have empowered them and empowered them financially to be able to pay their own bills. That's cool. So when you can pay, for instance, you go into the grocery store, when you go into Publix or a supermarket, when you go in there, you're literally supporting the economic ecosystem that's present in that store. What do I mean by that? I mean that your shopping helps provide financial resource for the checkout clerk, for the stock clerk, for the management, for those who are even pushing the carts in the parking lot. Because you're prospering, and the more you spend, obviously, the more you bring to that grocery store, and the longer they can stay in business. Now, the moment you stop growing or you have a decline in finances, it's going to show up in your neighborhood. So not too long ago, Winn-Dixie just closed out, pretty much evaporated for various reasons, I'm sure. But of course, if they were getting the level of revenue necessary to stay there, they would not have closed. So again, when you prosper, everything around you prospers. Everything is blessed. Your gas station, the place where you buy your gasoline for your car, it prospers because now you can buy gas for your car. What about that same car that needs mechanical attention? The guy that changes your oil, the guy that changes your tires, rotates your tires, the guy that repairs the body. Maybe you got a fender bender and you crack the bumper. Now you got to take it to a body shop. Now they're prospering because you have the resources to pay for the body repair. So all I'm saying to you is that when you understand this, it cuts out a whole lot of fluff from your life. A lot of unnecessary encounters, a lot of unnecessary people, and unnecessary relationships. When you understand this, I've come to realize when we talk about making a decision, making a resolution in your mind, I'm going to cut out all of the things that are not helping me reach my goal, that means I made a decision. So a decision is not, it doesn't mean that a decision is something that you make towards getting something. In other words, I decided I'm going to go to the store, or I decided I'm going to become this. What you're literally saying is to decide. It's a compound word. And anytime you see DI or DE, it implies some level of cutting away, division of some sort. I've got to cut away everything that prevents me from obtaining my goals. That's my decision. I have not decided to go towards my goal. I have decided to cut away everything that prevents me from obtaining my goal. You see how that works? So that's how and why we have to make those quality decisions that's going to bring us to a level of prosperity and growth that otherwise you're not going to receive, you're not going to see. And don't be discouraged by a hard time and rough times, because there are things you're going to learn in those periods of time that you're not going to learn in good times. As a matter of fact, we all grow. You ask any entrepreneur who has become successful, gone on to be rich, whatever, you'll ask him, what period of time did you grow the most? Was it in the times of great prosperity, or was it the time of great challenges? Which of those two periods of times did you grow the most? And I can almost guarantee you with 100% certainty, they're going to tell you my highest level of growth took place in the hardest areas and seasons of my life. Because I learned some things about myself that I otherwise would not have learned if all I had was good times and pleasantries. So don't get discouraged by it. Don't get blown out of the water. Just know that it's revealing something about you. Stuff that you're going to need and things that you're going to have to get rid of. That's what a good challenge does. I watch a lot of motivational speakers, successful ones, and one of which is he's hardcore because he doubles down on suffering. I mean, he is the biggest proponent of suffering. Why? Not because he's some sort of masochist. He's a big proponent for it because he understands there is something you're going to get in spite of the pain, the agony, and the sufferings. There's so much you're going to gain from it that you otherwise would never have realized if everything had gone your way and you've never had any resistance, never had any problems, never had any challenges. And I'm not saying that you should become some sort of masochist and you cut your wrists and all that. No, that's not what I'm saying. When those times come, and they will come, when they do come, recognize that they're only there to add to you. There's a very, very popular verse of scripture in Romans 5 that says that suffering brings experience. So there's something, tribulation worketh patience. It's working on your patience. It's working on your endurance. It's working on your stick-to-itiveness. It's working on your persistence. It's working on your resilience. Because the higher you go, you've heard the saying, new levels, new devils. So the higher you're going, the more you're going to need that strength that you got down in the valley. You're going to need that tenacity that you built up because you powered through those times of adversity. And now you're at a new level, but guess what? New devils. Okay? New things you're going to have to challenge. Things you're going to have to overcome. But fortunately for you, you persist and powered through those valley experiences, and now you're on the mountaintop. And now you're fully equipped for that next level. So this is how you're going to begin to prosper. This is how you're going to begin to grow. This is how you're going to come into your own personal level of prosperity, growth, expansion. And the worst thing you can actually think about prosperity is that there's something wrong with it. That everybody that's a millionaire must have done something illegal or unethical. Because again, money is, in the words of Reverend Ike, He says that money is like a woman, and if you treat her right, you talk good to her, she'll be there for you. But if you're always talking about her, she's not going to show up for you. So money is the same way. If you resent people who have money, you will never be one of them. And so you learn to celebrate where you see growth and expansion. Learn to celebrate when you see prosperity. Celebrate those that are growing. Don't get jealous. Don't get envious. Celebrate it, because it's going to empower you. Because one day it's going to be you. One day it's going to be you. Now, hey, listen, I'm out of time for this particular video. I trust that you've heard something that has inspired and maybe provoked you to keep on keeping on, to let you know that it's going to work out. You're going to be successful if you do not quit. Make sure that you plan your work and work your plan. Be clear on where you're going and what it's going to take to get there, and who it's going to take to get there, and who is supposed to go there with you. Because not everyone that starts out with you is going to end up with you. Some people are for seasons, others are for reasons, and you got to be good with either one. If they're there for just a short period of time, I'm good with that. But it doesn't affect your vision. Okay? I got some tools I want to help you with. If you look in the description area, it'll take you to my website. I got a very special offer, 50% off one of my premier webinars that I do called Algorithm of Wealth. The Algorithm of Wealth is about that exactly. We have literally figured out the methodology necessary to bring you to your own personal level of growth and increase where it concerns finances through various methods. Your mindset is number one. That's primary. That is primo. And then, of course, we're going to talk about other financial vehicles that's available for you. So check out what's in the description below. Do me one more solid. Make sure you click the like button. If you got anything, any value out of this, let me know in the comments. What's your response? What's your reaction? Let me know. Tell me your story and let me hear how we can maybe do future videos that will help you as well. Okay? All right. Till next time, this is Michael Norman saying blessings to you. Look forward to seeing you on the next edition of Maximum Life right here with yours truly, Michael Norman. We'll see you next time.